All the hype and speculation seems to be centered around newly drafted rookie Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, as well as Haason Reddick's dominance last season. But hear what Josh Sweat said and why he's about to take his game to a whole other level. And apparently those Kelly Green jerseys are fake, so I hope you kept the receipts. But first, let's run it. Hey guys, hope you're all having a great weekend. In case anyone's new to the channel, I'm Josh and I cover the birds. So let's start with Pro Football Focus releasing the top defensive line rankings, and it may come as no surprise that the Eagles are ranked #1 since a season ago, Philadelphia was second in the league in pressure percentage despite blitzing at a below average rate, and this was largely due to the defense's ability to get to the quarterback with just 4 pass rushers. And despite the fact that Philly lost interior defender Javon Hargrave in free agency, as we all know, we were able to get Jalen Carter, who earned a Power 5 best 92.3 PFF grade in 2022. This isn't anything crazy to most of us Eagles fans, but PFF is so impressed by the Birds D-line that there's even a case to be made that Philadelphia's second-string defensive line would rank in the top 20 on the list. And in case you're wondering where some of the other teams fall, there's the 49ers in second, which I'm sure Deebo Samuel is somewhere complaining since that's all the 49ers seem to do. Third is the Washington Commanders with Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat leading the way. Fourth is Miami, and fifth is Pittsburgh to round out the top 5. Oh yeah, and Dallas ranked 8th, even though PFF says Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence command respect, but the supporting cast are what hinders their overall ranking. The New York Giants were also right behind in 9th. It's pretty cool to see the NFC East garner so much attention and respect. Obviously, even better to see the Eagles atop this list, but it's no surprise that this unit is first in the NFL, especially with guys like Haason Reddick, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams. Let's not forget about Josh Sweat.
Don't ever forget it.
It seems like some people are maybe slightly overlooking the former 4th-round pick, but Eagles insider Dave Spadaro warns that teams shouldn't, since as crazy as it sounds, Sweat is beginning to put it all together, saying, "I feel great, and I feel like the best is yet to come." You figure this game out after you've been here for some time, and you know what you have to do to take your game to new levels. I know it's being cliche, but it's about being consistent and building off what usually works for you. Whatever you're good at, just get better at that and stick with it. Which I think it's safe to say Sweat's figured out how to get better, with him unquestionably improving every year since coming into the league, totaling 11 quarterback sacks last year, while also setting career marks for total tackles with 48, quarterback pressures 47, and quarterback hits 23. Also the interception that just so happened to be returned for a touchdown. Yeah, we remember that one. The ridiculous part is that somehow Sweat was robbed of the Pro Bowl last year despite making it in 2021.
He was robbed.
That's fine because Sweat says he has a chip on his shoulder, saying, "I feel like I should have made the Pro Bowl last year because I had my best season. No question. Now I'm back to be even better. I'm ready to ramp this up and get this going. I'm excited about this defense, about what we've got going here. It's going to be a lot of fun learning together and growing together." It's kind of crazy that Josh is only 26 years old and in his 6th season already, but it doesn't feel that way to him since he actually feels younger now and stronger. Sweat said, "I work harder now and I know what to do when I'm on the field. I want to get out there, run around, be fast, and not do a lot of thinking, especially with the defenses that we've had. Every year you have to prove yourself even more, and the goal is to get better every year. That gets harder because I'm improving every year. I feel threatened every year. People are coming at me. If I ever don't feel that way, it's going to be a problem. That won't happen because that's just not me. I can't coast. I can't take anything for granted. This game means so much to me, and I love it so much that I attack it every day.
I love this game. I live this game."
Just another reminder that
Hungry dogs run faster.
I get pumped hearing that from Sweat. As much as we want to talk about all the other D linemen, he deserves the recognition. And in case you don't recall, Josh has said he models his game after Von Miller and Jadeveon Clowney and is constantly analyzing elements he can add to his game. So I think we'll see one more big jump in terms of production and just overall presence on the field, especially since I'd imagine Haason Reddick is going to get a lot of double teams this year. So the focus will be on the other side while Sweat can be dominant. But what do you guys think? Will Sweat have more than 11 sacks this season? I think he will, because he just approaches everything the right way and is heading right into this season with the same mentality.
The mentality is pretty much just we're at the bottom again. I mean, that's just how we have to look at it. I mean, we can't really think about that. You know, we went, we didn't win. You know, everybody's starting over. I mean, we're at the bottom.
Sweat also put everyone on notice, saying that's just how it is and the mindset you have to have on this squad, which is nearly identical to the message defensive coordinator Sean Desai has been delivering. If you don't recall, the edge rusher is a big fan of the coordinator of chaos, saying Desai seemed genuine and he loves the edge guys. He loves D-line, so I was on board. That's all I needed to know.
You got my vote.
I know we've talked a lot about it before, but with Desai being a more aggressive blitzer and a mastermind around creating pressure and in-game adjustments, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Sweat went over his 2022 mark. Now, for those who say you can't say everyone is going over their total, I guess that's fair, although I could.
Hey, a rule is a rule. And let's face it, without rules, there's chaos.
Remember, Hargrave is gone, so that's 11 sacks right there you have to make up, and as much as I love BG, and this kills me to say it, but I don't think he's going to have another 11 sack season, and I'm also kind of doubting the fact that Fletch reaches the 7 mark either. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong about the older vets, but I think Sweat will have more than last season and kind of help pick up the slack. But go ahead and let me know how wrong I am in the comments. Either way, I can't wait to see this defense in action wearing that Kelly green. Well, it may not be the same Kelly green we originally thought. You guys remember the rumors and the viral video that started circulating last weekend of some kind of Kelly green jersey release? So it turns out that I was completely duped since Dave Spadaro hopped on Reddit for a bit to converse with us fans when someone said, "Yo Dave, are these real?" To which Dave replied saying, "Heck no." Okay, he didn't say it that emphatically, but he's not concerned about anything being leaked and not even paying attention to what store leaked what because the actual merchandise is going to be extremely enticing.
They were so convincing in their argument.
Congrats to those of you who didn't fall for it. I obviously can't tell the difference between authentic and counterfeit. Anyway, let's move on. So the Inquirer's EJ Smith has 5 names of undrafted rookies with a real chance to make the roster, starting out with cornerback Mekhi Garner since he made the biggest splash of any undrafted free agent last week, picking off Hurts during 7-on-7 drills. Unfortunately, his punting the football celebration afterward wasn't received well by Nick Sirianni, but as EJ says, it's plays like that that could help him break through an extremely crowded cornerback depth chart. This is a guy who showed a lot of competitiveness and physicality while at LSU, being listed at 6'2", 212 with great athletic ability in the broad and vertical jumps, as well as being a very willing tackler, is great and all, but his subpar 4.55 in the 40 really hurt his draft stock. I don't know if he keeps making plays like this, maybe he can earn a spot on the team, but I think it's kind of a reach at this point. What do you all think? The other corner to consider is Eli Ricks from Alabama. I remember when this dude seemed like a lock to make the NFL and drafted very highly. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep up the same level of play after transferring to Bama and suffering a shoulder injury, so Smith argues that may have played a big factor, perhaps the shoulder injury that cost him 7 games his sophomore season and the growing pains from a transfer to Alabama last year are to blame. If so, Rick's best football could be ahead of him.
You got your whole life ahead of you.
It is worth mentioning that the limited early returns of the 2 OTA practices open to the media haven't been kind to Ricks. He notably got beaten by Devontae Smith running a go route on the final day of OTAs last week, although Smitty beats a lot of people. Training camp will be the true indicator. You notice another big physical corner, so it'll be interesting to see who can lock up that spot. But again, with other guys like Greedy, Josh Jobe, Keeler Ringo, and Zach McPherson to name a few, I'm doubting they'll make the roster, but you never know. The final member of the UDFAs on the defensive side Smith lists is linebacker Ben Van Sumeren from Michigan State, who of all the undrafted rookies, Van Sumeren has the easiest path to legitimate playing time this year. This is a guy with crazy athleticism, evidenced by the 4.45 40 and ranking 90th percentile among linebackers. Van Sumeren is a high-level athlete who doesn't have the tape or technique to coincide with the promise his traits offer. The converted fullback started his career with Michigan before switching positions as a redshirt sophomore and then transferring to the Wolverines' cross-state rival a year later. He played just 1 year as a starting linebacker, logging 81 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 pass breakups. Don't get me wrong, those are solid numbers, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to break through ahead of guys like Nicholas Morrow, Christian Ellis, Sean Bradley, or Davion Taylor. Perhaps he can get a roster spot by winning a role on special teams, but it sounds like he will take some time to develop because he's a little bit raw. What do you guys think about the athletic linebacker? The only offensive player listed here is offensive tackle Trevor Reed from Louisville, who, much like Van Sumeren, he has crazy athleticism, but is very raw because athleticism aside, Reed didn't play football football until midway through his high school career and had to put on significant weight in college to stick on the offensive line. He also doesn't have an enormous frame you'd like to see for an NFL offensive lineman, yet he has plenty of ground to make up from a technical standpoint. However, similar to Jordan Mailata a few years ago, Reed's physical traits make him an ideal charge for Eagles offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland, so he may eventually develop into an NFL caliber player. It would just take a few years. I don't know much about this guy, to be honest, and with the uncanny ability that Stout has to develop unorthodox players, I think it's best to just leave it at that. If it's good enough for Stout, it's good enough for me, but I wouldn't be surprised if Reed didn't make the roster. The final player listed here is punter Ty Zentner, otherwise known as Legatron, and he's another UDFA with a legitimate chance to make the roster. We know the issues Aaron Siposs has had, so there's a chance Zentner could do something to push him, and it's also worth mentioning that there were initial reports of Zentner struggling in OTAs, with Siposs clearly winning the competition. But according to Dave Spadaro, it's not fair to say that anyone is winning. Since the media only watched 2 practices and one of them was in the bubble, Dave says the competition is very much open and thinks it will be decided in the 3 preseason games for the most part. So let's hold off on the hot takes. Not fair and not accurate.
That's a relief.
This is actually really good news. I know it's early, but just to get some insight that speaks towards Zentner possibly performing a little better than the 2 limited sessions showed was really refreshing. I realize we shouldn't get carried away. Who do you think will make the team out of the undrafted rookies? Still a long way to go before training camp. Thank you again to everyone for helping me get over 6K subs in a little over 3 months. It's been a blast, and seriously, you guys are the best. This has been the Philly Special.